My brothers and sisters, people of Burkina Faso, people of Africa, and citizens of the world who still carry conscience in their hearts, I stand before you today not as a president, not as a military leader, not as someone seeking applause or recognition, but as a humble servant of truth. What I am about to say does not come from ambition or politics. It comes from a place beyond that, from a moment that changed my understanding of life, faith, and humanity itself. For months, I watched what was happening in Gaza. Like all of you, I saw the images, the rubble, the screaming, the children pulled from beneath collapsed buildings, the mothers clutching their lifeless babies, the fathers standing in silence before graves too small for the children they buried. I saw numbers flash on the screen, casualties, wounded, missing. And I did what leaders often do. I issued statements, I offered prayers, I condemned what I saw as injustice. But still, something inside me felt hollow, as if these words, though true, were not enough. Something in my heart whispered that what we were witnessing was not just political violence, it was a reflection of something much deeper, something spiritual, something that demanded more than speeches. It was during the holy month of Ramadan, in those quiet hours before dawn when the world sleeps but the soul is awake, that I felt the full weight of it. I could not rest. I prayed long into the night, asking Allah to guide me, to show me what I could not see. I asked for a sign, a truth beyond the noise of politics and media. I wanted to know how a leader could stand for justice when the world had grown deaf to suffering, and that night, my prayer was answered in a way I still struggle to describe. Between wakefulness and sleep, I felt myself lifted from the boundaries of this world. I was surrounded by a light not of the sun nor the stars, but something eternal. In that light stood a figure whose presence made my soul tremble yet feel at peace at the same time. His face shone with mercy, his eyes carried the sorrow of centuries and the compassion of eternity. It was the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He did not speak at first. His silence carried more power than any words. I felt every defense, every mask, every illusion within me dissolve. I could not speak. I could only weep. Then he looked at me with eyes that saw everything, my fears, my failures, my doubts, and still he radiated mercy. When he spoke, his voice was gentle, yet carried the weight of divine command. He said, "Ibrahim, you see Gaza with your eyes, but you do not yet see Gaza with your heart. Come, let me show you what is hidden." What followed was not a dream, it was a revelation. Layers of the world seemed to fall away, and I saw Gaza not as the news shows it, not as a strip of land under siege, but as a symbol of the human soul itself, wounded, besieged, yet unbroken. The prophet showed me the souls of the children of Gaza, not their bodies beneath the rubble, not their faces streaked with dust and tears, but their souls, pure and radiant, rising toward the heavens like beams of light. I saw them not as victims but as witnesses, shahid, bearing testimony before creation. They were not only dying, they were speaking without words, without sound, declaring to the heavens the moral bankruptcy of our age. Then the prophet spoke again. "These children," he said, "are not only witnesses against those who bombed their homes, but against all who saw and did nothing. Against those who had platforms and remained silent, against those who had power and chose comfort over courage. Their blood is not forgotten. Their prayers rise to the heavens and will one day stand as evidence." He showed me those prayers. I saw them rising, glowing like golden threads ascending into the sky, carrying the pain of mothers, the tears of fathers, the cries of the orphans. And I saw how every tear, every prayer was recorded. None of it was lost. And I felt my heart break, because I realized that silence in the face of such suffering is itself a form of complicity. Then he showed me another vision far from Gaza, in rooms filled with light and polished glass. I saw men in suits, faces calm and confident, discussing wars like they were business deals. They spoke of profit margins, strategic interests, and national security. They spoke of acceptable losses while sipping from crystal glasses. I saw them approving contracts for weapons, calculating body counts as if they were statistics. And the prophet said, "This is the disease of your time, selective humanity, a blindness of the heart that allows people to value profit over people, power over compassion. They no longer see these souls as human." He then turned my eyes toward Africa. What I saw there cut me deeper than anything else. I saw our continent a land that knows oppression, that knows colonization, that knows the pain of having its people enslaved and its dignity stripped away. I saw how we, who should have understood suffering better than anyone, had become silent in the face of Gaza's agony. I saw African leaders smiling in gilded halls, shaking hands with those who arm the oppressors, offering words while keeping their trade intact. And the prophet's voice echoed through me, heavy with sorrow. "You were enslaved, you were colonized, you were dehumanized, You know this pain, yet now you turn away when others endure the same. Has comfort made you forget? Has fear made you complicit? In that moment, I saw Thomas Sankara, I saw Patrice Lumumba, I saw Kwame Nkrumah, men who stood for dignity, who saw African freedom as bound to the freedom of all oppressed people, and I felt shame that we had allowed their vision to fade into memory. The Prophet showed me the invisible chains still binding Africa, economic chains, political chains, psychological chains, the same powers that drained Africa's wealth now funding the oppression of others. And he said, "Your liberation and theirs are intertwined. You cannot claim freedom while accepting another's captivity. You cannot be sovereign while another bleeds with your silence." Then the world before me divided into two visions, two possible futures. In the first, I saw Gaza erased, the people displaced, imprisoned, forgotten. The world grew darker. Justice became a word without meaning. Oppression spread like a plague, and I saw Africa still exploited, its leaders still serving foreign masters, its youth losing hope. I saw that the death of Gaza's light would mean the death of the world's conscience. But in the second vision, I saw a different path, a path of light. I saw Africa rising, not just in defiance, but in moral courage. I saw nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger standing together and speaking with one voice, not in hatred, but in truth. I saw Africa remembering its revolutionary soul, remembering that true strength is not in weapons or wealth, but in righteousness. I saw leaders choosing dignity over deals, choosing conscience over comfort, using their voice not to beg, but to declare justice. The Prophet said, "This path will not be easy. The powerful will resist. There will be economic pressure, diplomatic threats, isolation. But no, this truth does not depend on numbers. The path of light may be narrow, but it leads to true independence, to dignity that no empire can buy." As the vision faded, the Prophet looked at me one last time. His words have echoed in my heart ever since. "You are a leader by divine decree, not by desire." Every leader will be asked about those under his care. What will you say when your Lord asks you about Gaza? Will you say you were afraid? Will you say it was not your concern? Or will you say you spoke the truth even when it cost you everything? When I awoke, my eyes were filled with tears. I knew I could never see the world the same way again. Gaza was no longer a distant tragedy. It was a mirror reflecting our own moral state. Our silence about Gaza is our silence about ourselves. Every time we look away from injustice, we allow oppression to define the world our children will inherit. So I say this to you, my brothers and sisters. I will not remain silent. I cannot. I have seen the truth. I have seen the cost of silence. From this day, I commit myself, and I call on my nation to commit itself to the path of truth, to stand with the oppressed, to speak where others are silent, to use every platform we have to demand justice. Not just for Gaza, but for every people denied their dignity. This is not about religion alone, it is about humanity. Christians, Muslims, believers and non-believers alike can unite around this, that the killing of children is wrong, that the collective punishment of an entire people is wrong, that silence in the face of injustice is itself injustice. The world cannot build peace on selective morality. We cannot build freedom on someone else's oppression. One day our children will ask us what we did when Gaza burned, when children cried out for help, when truth was on trial. What will we say? That we were afraid? That we were comfortable? Or that we spoke, we stood, we refused to betray our conscience? I pray that when that day comes, we can look them in the eyes without shame. For me, there is no turning back. I will speak, I will act, I will use whatever time, breath, and strength Allah gives me to serve justice. I do this knowing I will be judged not by men, but by the one who sees all. May Allah guide us to the side of truth. Give us the courage to stand when others bow, and forgive us for our silence when we should have spoken. May the children of Gaza forgive us for not acting sooner. May their prayers awaken our sleeping hearts. And may peace be upon all who struggle for justice and human dignity, for they are the keepers of the light that no darkness can ever extinguish.